Hello Year 3, this is Wednesday's maths lesson. Let's check you've got the bits you need. So check you've got your maths book with you today, a sharp pencil, a ruler, and you're going to need 25 objects of something. It might be blocks, it might be Lego pieces, it might be coins, whatever you've got in your house, 25 objects of something. So pause the video and get those things now. Okay, can you write the date and LO in your book? Today we're going to be dividing with remainders. We have touched on this very briefly in school before, and then have a go at completing the questions on the screen. Pause the video. Okay, our first job says circle the multiples of 5. Now, you might have thought about this very carefully. Multiples of 5 always end in a 5 or a 0. So straight away, I know that 35 is a multiple of 5. I know that 40 is a multiple of 5, because they both end in 5s and 0s. Oh, 57 is not. 95 is, and 70 is. So tick them if you got those correct. There are 15 cubes. This was your next question. How many groups of 3 are there? Well, we can see they're grouped into 3s already. I won't circle all of them, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups of 3. However you wrote that down, give it a tick if you got that right. Okay, this is a listening slide, so pop your pencil down. Alex has 11 flowers. We can see them lined up there on the screen. If she plants 2 flowers in each pot, how many pots can she fill? We could use our 2 times table to help us with this one if she's planting 2 in each pot. Now, for this question, I could use objects to help me. That's one way of doing it. I could group 11 into 2s. Or I could use pictures to help me if you haven't got objects, for example. And I've shown you some pictures today, so let me show you. So I've grouped these flowers into 2s, because we know that every pot had 2 flowers in. So I've made 1 pot. I could actually cross these out, couldn't I, to show you? I've made 1 pot of flowers, 2 pots of flowers, 3 pots of flowers, 4 pots of flowers, 5 pots of flowers. However, there was 1 more. I didn't have enough to make another pot, so I had 1 left over. So I could say there are 5 pots of 2 flowers and 1 flower remaining. I could also write it in a number sentence a bit like this. 11, I had 11 to start with, divided or grouped into 2s equals 5. I made 5 pots with remainder 1. Okay, so 11 divided by 2 is 5 remainder 1. Right, let's have a look at another one. We're going to group them in a different way this time. So what if Alex grouped her flowers into pots of 3? So this is an activity slide, so I'd like you to use your objects or draw with your pencil pictures to help you. You've got 11 flowers and Alex is grouping them into 3s this time. Can you calculate what the answer is in however way is best for you, and then write me this sentence and this sentence to show that you understand. So pause the video and do those things. Okay, so we should have something that looks a bit like this. It might have been your objects you used, that's okay. But we can see here we've got groups of 3 this time. I've got 1 pot of 3, 2 pots of 3, 3 pots of 3, and I realised I didn't have enough to make another pot of 3. So I realised that I've got 2 left over. Now your sentence should have looked like this. There are 3 pots of 3 flowers and 2 flowers remaining. And then your number sentence would look like this. 11 divided into 3s is 3, remainder 2. Well done if you got that right. Good job. Let's look at the same activity again. So again, this is your opportunity to have another little go at this. What if Alex grouped her flowers into pots of 4? So use your objects or use your pictures, calculate it, and then write out these 2 sentences to show your answer. Pause the video. Yeah, so here we go. This is maybe what your objects or your pictures should look like. So we're grouping them into 4s this time. So I've made 1 pot of 4. I made 2 pots of 4, and I realised I couldn't make another one. So I had some left over. I had 3 left over. So let's look at your sentences now. You should, oh, not what I wanted to do. You should have, there are 2 pots of 4 flowers and 3 flowers remaining. Tick that if you got it right. And then, get this to work in a moment. And then you should have 11 divided into 4s is 2, remainder 3. Okay, brilliant. Let's have a look at another question. It's another activity slide actually, this one, because you've got your objects. It's really easy to work with your objects. So Dora has 13 counters. She arranges her counters into equal groups and has some counters remaining. How could Dora have arranged her counters? So I suggest that you get 13 of your objects now together and have a go at making equal groups, but you've always got some left over, remember. See if you can find 2 different ways of doing this. Have a practice at grouping them in different ways, but making sure you've got some left over which don't quite make another group. So find 2 different ways. You don't need to write these down extensively in your book. Just have a little practical go in front of you. Pause the video. Okay, well done. So let's go through a few ways you might have come up with. So you could have grouped them into 2s and had 1 remaining. 6 groups of 2 there was, and 1 remaining. So that's 13 divided by 2. You had 13 to start with. We've grouped them into 2s. So that's 6, remainder 1. You might have chosen to group them into 3s. You could have had 4 groups of 3 and 1 remaining. That would have been 13 divided by 3 is 4, remainder 1. You might have chosen to group them into 4s and had 3 groups of 4 with 1 remaining. You might have chosen to group them in different ways as well, but I've just given a few examples on my screen today. If you got very stuck on this question, you might want to have a go at making some of these groups and then going over the number sentence in your head now as a practice. Notice how the remainder is written. So sometimes, like before, we might write out 3 remainder 1 for this example here in the corner. And sometimes you might see the remainder just written as an R. So in your work today, you could do that if you wanted to, just to write an R instead of writing remainder, as long as you understand what that means and remember what that means. Okay, let's have a look at this one here. This is a listening slide, so pop your pencil down. Sam says that 20 divided into 5s is 3 remainder 5. Do you agree or disagree? Have a think. Pause the video. Yeah, you're right. I would disagree, because he's made his groups of 5 and they look good, they're all equal. But if we have a look at what's remaining, there's 5 remainders. And actually, if we're making groups of 5, that's another group, isn't it? That's another group of 5. So there wouldn't be any remainders for this question. Your answer would be 20 divided into 5s is 4. There wouldn't be any remainders, there'd be none left over. 20 is a multiple of 5. The 5 times table, I should say. Right, and one more slide to have a look at before you do your questions. This is also a listening slide, okay, so keep your pencil down. Something to give you a hand when you're working through these questions today. Remember your Where's Mully activities we've done in class for Big Maths. So let's say, for example, you've got this first question, 37 divided by 3 is what? Look, well, what I would do is I'd use this, I'm going to give you one of these, or you're going to have one on the screen to help you. Spot the number you've got to start with, which is 37. So I might just circle it on mine so I can show you. And now, because I'm dividing by 3 today, I'm going to think about my 3 times table. What's the largest multiple of 3 that's going to fit into 37? What's the biggest multiple of 3 I know without going past 37? Well, I know that 30 is 10 lots of 3, 30, 33, 36. That's my biggest multiple of 3 without going past 37. So therefore my answer, I know that 36 is 12 times 3. My answer is 12, remainder 1, because there was one more, wasn't there? Let's look at another one of these together. So let's look at a new one. So now we've got 23 divided by 3. Let me find that number to start with on the number square. That will help us today. 23. Okay, I'm still dividing by 3, so I'm going to think about my multiples of 3 to help me, my 3 times table. I could count in 3s if that's helpful when you get onto it. So I could do 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. That is my biggest multiple of 3 without going past 23. Now, how many lots of 3s go into 21? If you know your times tables, straight away you know the answer. 7, remainder 1, 2, remainder 2. Okay, and this is a little box just reminding us that remainders sometimes look like an R. Okay, brilliant. Right, get your pencil ready. Now it's your turn to do your activity. I'm going to flash through the slides, pause them on each slide, and we'll do the answers in a moment. Okay, well done today. Let's do some answers. So mark your answers nice and neatly, either using your pencil or a purple pen if you've got one at home. Great job, everyone. I will see you next time. Well done today. Bye-bye.